Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, okay, I see. Okay,
You see the
right.
issue, right? Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, it's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, no one is online yet, I guess, but first I have to also add the current question. And for that,
Put some fake questions just for, you know.
there is one question, interestingly enough.
Mm.
Okay, wait. Yeah, war. Okay, one thing here I have to add is the current question for this.
Oh.
Second. Ah, interesting. What's the problem? Wait. Oh man, that keyboard sounds like someone's.
Yeah, I just need to answer to nice.
Oh fuck!
What?
Undo. How did I delete it? I deleted the setup which I had with the two cameras. No.
No, yeah. Okay.
That's not okay. Fuck. Ah. Oh damn. Oh damn. I had the setup, but now it's not working. Oh my god.
Okay, let's just keep your let's just keep, like, you know, cool question screen or whatever.
Yeah, okay, it's something now.
Okay, we already have some questions coming in the chat, so we can start answering.
Okay. So first I'm gonna answer the question which is on Aha slides. How do you create new features on Pandas? So let me maybe open Google Colab quickly for this on the internet, so we can demonstrate how that might look like. So let's open then Anaconda.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, hello everyone. We hope you are doing all right and have some questions about projects that we gladly will answer you to.
Okay. So yeah, sorry for this current delay. We're still experiencing some setup issues. Okay. So the first question, let me mark it. We're gonna answer now. Is how do you create a new feature in Pandas? So this we briefly explored in our sessions. I think the second or the third. So let me show you how that might look like. So let me zoom in. Basically, the way you could create one, I've loaded here the data set from the demo. How you would create a new column, a new feature is like, okay, you do some calculations. Let's say you would take the
just some of volatile acidity and citric acidity, for example.
Yeah, you would sum them together. So let's say I will create a new feature called acid or acidity, and this will just add those two features together. So I would basically write data from acid, and then you could then combine these together. So for example, fixed acidity and plus df volatile acidity. So and that's it. So if you would look into that feature, we could see then exactly those two values added. So you can see here 7.4, 0.74 is an 8.1. Okay, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. Same, you can do so basically when you write like this, the f in a square bracket the column that does not exist and assign something to it, it will create a new column. So if you assign one number, for example 5, all the values will be 5 in this column.
Yes. Okay. So okay, perfect. Let's go back to. Okay. So this answered the question. You said there was a question in chat.
There was, but I refreshed my page and it's disappeared. So
I have it here.
yeah.
Here. So Malcolm98 asked, "Do you know a good data science project I can do to show full potential?"
Yes, that's the projects that we suggested are should be enough to show your whole potential and experiment more than we showed it today. So if you are joining us today, Malcolm, you can go to our website mlgrads.at. What is our website?
It's mlgrads.it. I can write it in chat, I guess.
Yeah.
Now.
So I just should be a link to the projects that we suggest.
mlgrads/at/grads
Slash course. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. So there will be, you can find 3 data sets that you can use for your project.
Okay. Perfect. So let's go now to the questions from AHA slides. So they're coming quick. So let's start with the first one. Let's pin this. So OS Dev asked, assignment 4. You gave us 2 tips, and I'm having trouble with the first one. Because it looks like there are no different values between df train and df test. Are you sure? So first of all, there's one thing, and that is on df test you have one less column. So all the columns are the same except the last one, which is the rating one. So that's the first difference. You don't have the rating on the test set we provided. And the second thing is, even though they have the same columns and everything, you might have noticed that the unique values in those columns might be different. That means that I think in brand or in category, you will have values which are not in the test set, and also vice versa. So unique values in that case. So I think that was so what you would do. The easiest thing is check what are the unique values from every data frame, and then remove the ones which are not common. So remove the uncommon. It's not clean, but at least for the assignment it's fine. In real life, you would do something more different. Hopefully that answered your question, OSDev. If you have any questions, you can further ask. We'll stay here for a while. Next question is from Julian, and he asked, if I train and test a dataset and want to apply the model on a new dataset, how am I handling the new unique values? For example, a movie dataset. So in that case, that's similar to the last, assignment 4. So first thing what you could do is, again, you for now you can just remove the unique values which are not in the test set. But
no, I think the question is more how you use trained model on new data.
I see. Okay. In that regard, I can show you then no, but I'm handling the new unique values. For example, a movie data set. Wait, I want to apply the model on a new data set. Okay, so the problem is, if you want to apply it to a totally new data set, it's quite hard because if you train a model, you should have some columns which are common. And if you don't have that, then that might be a problem, since most models cannot deal with different columns. So you have to if you train a model on movie data, then your new movie data set should have the same columns at least.
And usually in machine learning, you retrain models from time to time. So when at some point you have so much new data that you cannot handle it at all, you retrain it with new data.
Yeah. Okay, next question comes from Jay. After cleaning my data, I want to save it as a CSV file and not as a Python notebook. How can I do that? Well, okay, this one you can I can show you. This one is in the demo project on GitHub. So let me open the screen so you can see what I'm seeing. You see? Okay. So in the demo project, this is on GitHub. So if you go to github.com/AIGrats and on the demo project, we show you an example how you can do that. Oh, sorry. And if you go to the demo project, if you go to notebooks and you see on our cleaning notebook, you see that we load the raw data and we do some cleaning, and in the end we save it as a CSV file. So the data frame which we initially process, which is like this one, let me zoom in so you can see what I'm seeing. Raw, so data/raw wine quality red. We do some things, and then the data frame to save it in a CSV file, we then write .csv. And important here is to keep this index equals false. If not, you will get an extra column. So what happens is that it will take the ID, the index, and make it as an extra column. So if you make it false, it's like it looks as you saved it. And yeah, that's how you save the CSV. Hopefully that answered your question.
So basically you just write df.to_ tab and it will show you all possible ways to save it, because you can save it as Excel, you can save it as SQL, as TXT, I believe. There's a lot of different formats, but CSV is the most common.
Okay, so that answered from me. OSDev asked where can find the chat. So the chat is referring to Twitch. So there's a Twitch on the chat, the Twitch chat. So hopefully that is yeah.
Yeah, so if you're watching us on YouTube or other platform, when we are referring to Twitch chat.
But I also have the Facebook and YouTube chat here, so so I can at least read it at least. Okay. The next question comes from okay, wait, let me see.
There is Ivan in the chat from Malcolm. So how is SQL used in data science? Well, you need SQL to, if you are working with your classical SQL databases and your database data is stored there, you need to export from that database. But personally, for me, I never had to use some complicated SQL queries, mostly, like select, var, from, and that's it, or like some simple joins.
Yeah, most time with simple joins, you can solve most problems. Rarely you need some like functions like distinct or like making a lot of group bys. But yeah, it depends on your problem.
It also depends like on your infrastructure in your company, how is data is stored in your company. If it's if it's all in SQL databases, well, then you need to know to be able to work with those databases.
The next question is from OSDev. Did you experience an issue with JupiterLab? Plotly graphics are not displayed. Plotly is installed and restarted the computer. So okay, I'll answer that question right now. So, show you PC. So here's the thing. When you go to Plotly installation guide, so you write Plotly JupiterLab on Google. So the issue is the following. Even though you installed Plotly, JupiterLab is independent of those plots. So what you have to do is to install a plugin which allows you to render those Plotly plots. In the installation guide on Plotly, if you go to, let's say, JupiterLab, you can see what you have to do. So you have to run these two command, this command, then you run this command here. Note that you should have Node installed, so if you just follow, the instructions here, you can it should work out. Alternatively, what you can do, if you don't want to deal with this, you can load Jupyter Notebook, and in Jupyter Notebook you can you just install whatever this package here is, and when you go to Anaconda, instead of starting JupiterLab, you can start Jupyter Notebook, which looks very similar, so it looks like this. And if I go to a project, for example, I don't see it, project, it looks very similar, so it's almost the same thing. Here it will work. So here you don't have to install anything fancy. It should work. The only thing you have to note is that you have to run .fig.show if you so this command. So just follow the instructions. I will link this now in the chat. So now it should be posted on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So this we can put it here, or where's the other one? Yeah, JupiterLab if you want. So it's a bit annoying. That's why we use Google Colab. But once it's set up, it's like it works the same. Okay. Let me then switch back to the where's OBS split. Okay. Okay. Next question is from Julia. Assignment 4. Wouldn't it be best always delete columns like brand, category, and name? Because if I have a new data set and there is one single row with a new name category, it doesn't fit. And there is one. So for the assignment, that's fine. But it doesn't make really sense in real life. So what you can do, for example, is create a new variable in your column called, let's say, missing value. Let's say you have your category A, B, C, and then in your new data set you have a column which never seen. So what you do during training is like you create a new column called D, which stands for, let's say, missing data, and in order to predict the model well. But you can always delete it for now. For the assignment 4, that's not a big deal. That's okay. But in real life, that's not a good strategy.
And it's like sometimes name if it's people names, then it doesn't make sense. But when it's a brand, for example, it's a very important feature. When you're talking about clothing, for example, you have Nike, Adidas, and there's a lot of information about it. So sometimes you can delete it without repercussions. Sometimes you delete very important features. So it's not simple. It's not one solution for every task.
Okay.
Okay.
So while there are no questions, we can exchange ourselves about. I guess like until new questions come up, we can do like a mini podcast, Bogdan, right? Exchange some thoughts on the latest thoughts on data science. Until new questions appear up.
Well, we can generally talk about the projects that we assigned and like the struggles that maybe people will experience.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
I think the biggest challenge that's coming with the data set that we provided, there's a lot of features. So all the time, like all the examples we use, like amount of features that you like 10 that you can basically fit on the screen. Here we give you like 50, and there's 50 and 100 features in one data set. So people will actually have to learn how to select what is important quite fast.
Yeah, indeed. We've got a new question right now from Julian. Julian asks, "Thanks for the answer. Is there a command to compare the datasets to see if there is a new value in the dataset?" Yes. So I'm going to open again that notebook. Where is it? And what you can do is using. Oh wait, let me just split the screen again. OBS. PC. Okay. So let's say you have in a data set. How do you know if there's a new value? Well, what you can do, the easiest thing you can do is write df and let's say certain column, acidity, and dot unique. So this way, oops, I have to load the data first. Okay. So by running dot command unique, it will give you all the unique values. Now note, for continuous values, it's okay. So if you have a new numerical value, normally that's not a big deal, right? We are really referring to categorical data. Right there is where you might have issues. For numerical data, it doesn't really matter. So what you can do is write dot unique, and that's how you can deal with it. For example, here you can see, okay, here's this for unique first value, here's the set from the second one, and you can just compare the two arrays and see which values are different in that regard.
I mean, maybe show the full code how you would do it, because we have time, and it's not exactly obvious how to compare to make intersection of two lists.
Okay.
Just so, maybe so create like two fake arrays, because what's the fixed unique return?
Yes, Bogdan? What?
Yeah, so unique returns you an array of unique values, and then you can make intersection of two arrays to find, or arrays values that are not present in the second array.
So there are multiple approaches for this. I think the best one is actually through NumPy, right? With intersect 1D.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just import NumPy quickly. So NumPy.I think intersect autocomplete would be nice if it would work. It's not working. Interesting. Okay. Okay, fine. So what intersect 1D does is it will find the intersection between two arrays. So in this case, if I would pass two identical arrays, in our case, if I pass these two data frames which are equal, then we should get the same array which we previously had. So it should be the length of both. It should be basically the same output. And what you can do is, let's say you want only in your data frame values which are both in your train set and in your test set. So one way you can do this is by taking, let's say here's your df train like this, and here you can see here's your df test, and what this will return you is all the unique values from both data frames, and then it will intersect them. So if they're values in common, it will just keep the values which are in common. And what you can do then is then save this, let's say, into an array, let's say A. And when you have this array with common values, then you can maybe just run the following, like df, then your column name, which is called, let's say, fixed acidity dot is in, and then A. And what you're doing here is that you're getting all the rows where your column values are in this array, so is in this array. So this guarantees you that you in your train and test set will have the same values without the values which are not in those two data frames present. That said, keep in mind this is not ideal for real life problems, and I'm blinded by the sun. Give me 1 second until I'll close the lights because it's very bright. 1 second.
Hello, people.
Okay, I'm back. So let me put back in the. Okay. So now.
No new questions.
So now other issues which people might experience when doing a project is actually understanding the data. So most of the time, for now, we explain most of the data, and the data sets were quite clear. but I think a lot of people will struggle to understand the data by really exploring the data. So I think the only one tip I would definitely give in that regard is really just explore every single feature independently. Do unit variant analysis as we taught you on week 3, and once you get understanding, okay, I understand feature 1, then move to the second feature, then to the third, and then maybe some questions arise naturally through
Mhm.
naturally when analyzing your data. So don't worry if um, you don't understand the data from beginning.
Mhm.
That's how we feel every day at our jobs. so so just take your time every single feature, and then you should get a clear picture of your problem.
Yeah. Also, like in the bank data sets that we provide, there is article that describes data, so there should be quite clear. So just by reading description, you can understand what it is. It's like for League of Legends, yeah. If you didn't play or don't know how those games work, yeah, then it would be like the names of feature will mean nothing to you, but quite challenging to try yourself on data sets that you have no idea about.
I would maybe um yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, that's good answer. Hmm. Maybe should we talk about job stuff?
Like you mean finding what kind of jobs?
A pro tip in job
Process.
searching.
Yeah.
So I tell you my experience. Before in I was going very often to meetups, mostly software meetups, since I my meetup was quite small back then. And in meetups you find a lot of people who oh, okay, one question before I continue the story. Julian asked, can we re-upload the assignment 4? Version 1 didn't work. Sure, just re-upload it. Um, we see anyway, as long you keep the same email and everything the same, we see which one is the latest version, so don't worry about it. You can but don't spam us like, oh, I did the better version, did the better version. If I see 50 versions of your assignments, then maybe I won't bother grading your assignment. So if you re-upload several times, not a big deal. Okay. So one pro experience was going actually to meetups to find jobs. So in most meetups, you find either senior people who are searching actively for for employees, but you also find in meetups founders and company owners like CEOs. And even in a city like Graz, you have this opportunity. And most time when you exchange information and so on, uh, it's very easy to get the job at that point. I remember, like, I was at a meetup. I was talking with like after the meetup, after the talk, I talked with the CEO or one of the CEOs there, which was the meetup. And after, like, I don't know, talking about 20 minutes, you say like, "Hey, are you searching for a job? I have this job here. I would gladly have you in my team," and that's it. So on the spot, I was given a job if I wanted to, and these opportunities come very often. And as long as you speak with the right people, aka senior developers who are or senior leaders who are searching for who are who have the who has access to the budget, is the best person to talk with.
And also, like, if you are not working now as data science, it's important to, be in community of data scientists. So, you feel the trends, generally hear what people are talking about, because, when you open internet, there's so much information that you don't know where to start. But if you go to Meetup and you see people that are already working in the industry, you can get really, sensible advices, so you're not lost in the sea of all possibilities.
Because applying like blindly is not always the best approach. There, I remember like a statistic that like 50% of jobs are not even public. So before they actually get in the market, like as a job posting, they already filled internally. It's like, hey, it's because most time it's like this, like, hey, do you know someone who can work like this? Yeah, I have, like, a friend or I know this guy, he could take the job, and that's how most jobs are. The half of the jobs are taken, right? So by joining these meetups, you can get the you have this first mover advantage.
Heads on, heads on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But now in quarantine time, maybe not the best time to go.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Um.
Any other cool advices we have?
So another thing we could talk about is how you should present your final project. Maybe how it should look like. So
Mm.
so if you do it similar as in assignment 4 with like your data visualizations and like describe it, that's good. So that's totally fine. However, I would recommend also doing some slides, not for us per se. It's totally, or it's even optional as an assignment, but most people are not going to open the notebooks even though they're in like on there, they're not going to open it. But if you have some slides, people open those more often. So, and they can, if you just put your plots in your slides, that's that's a great way to get people looking at your project. I mean,
Mhm.
ideally, you would do like interactive project where you build this model, you analyze your data, and they made like some kind of web app where you can communicate for this. Like try it out. But you know, um, you need to have the web development skills for that. So if you have that, that's perfect. Then I would recommend even doing that. Because that you can show us like go to this website and you can test it out.
Yeah, for me, from my side, like I think the most important advice is to understand that all mistakes that you're gonna do is all other people already did it. So there is answer in internet for sure. So don't just it's easy to find answers. Don't when you get error, don't get stuck on it. Just Google it, and usually you find answers like in the first page on the first link.
Exactly. It's like it's like it's rare that you will find your answer in the second page, or you will have an error which nobody experienced.
Hmm.
It's and even if then most of the time that error can be solved the way. So one, like for example, if I get a really hard error, which I cannot solve, then most of the time a a library has like a community where you can ask, like a Slack channel or something like this, and if you ask a question there, and you can get your answer within like several hours even. And I would definitely recommend like that, but don't do that if you ask like a question in Slack which can be answered with a simple Google, like it's the first page in your Google search. I think they might ban you. So if you have any questions, or any want to hear our opinion on something, or you want to share some stuff like you in which we should talk about, maybe you uploaded some file, something, and you want us to check it out, we can maybe check it out if you share us on the chat. um yeah, we are here to make your experience as a data scientist as smooth as possible, so I think this is a great opportunity to talk. Okay, we've got a new question from OS Dev. Oops, and I answered by mistake.
The data
uh,
science
s-
yes, like if there is some, like in general, if data format exists, it's possibility that you will work with it. Like it's not common, like because so XML is not common, JSON is common, because if you're working with web API, you get results in JSON format. XML, I'm not sure how common is, but you may find data stored in XML format.
my experience is that if your client, so in my work experience, what I observed is XML is only if the company uses very old architectures, like in I forgot, like the CGI web server thing where it's where they transmit data with XML. That's common, but it's like JSON is more efficient in terms of memory and like the file size, and people generally, and because of also web APIs, you don't see so often. That said, you can load XML with pandas or something, or I'm mistaken with that.
Yeah, I think it's like there is way to load it, especially if your XML is formatted correctly and there is no issues. It's probably easy to parse it with pandas.
Yeah.
Pandas or Beautiful Soup. There is like definitely a way to convert it.
Okay. Oh, the big question here. Anonymous asked, "What is the salary of a data scientist?" Well,
Depends on your country.
it depends on your countries. So your salary could range between, I don't know, 10,000 euros up to 400,000 euros.
Mhm.
If you work in like Switzerland, in Zurich, then you could expect maybe around 100,000 franc. But if you're like in Vienna, then it depends also your position. Are you junior? Are you Are you like your previous work experience? What kind of data science are we talking about? A normal data scientist? Are we talking about like a data engineer? So yeah, and regarding
Yeah.
all
So how you presented yourself on interview?
your negotiation skills, whatever that means, and yeah. So Austria, I mean,
Austria. Okay, like Austria, like let's say take Vienna. You can put a median on 50,000
yeah,
per year.
50,000, yeah, 50k
Per,
euro per year. Don't forget that 50k is divided by 14 in Austria. So if
yeah,
you're not from
exactly.
Austria, that's divided by 14 compared to other countries where it's divided by 12. So you get 13 and fourth salary in Austria.
Yeah, and it's a median, but you have your minimum. You have your quantiles of normality, so you can get 60 or you can get 40.
Yeah, and even less. Some companies even pay less than that.
So you need to be I would say for take 50 as median and you work from there.
Yeah.
But if it's an entry position, it may be less. But
Yeah.
it's all depends on your like how you present yourself.
Yeah. But I think when you start out, you won't get 50k. I think that's you're more on the lower side. That's more like your average data scientist, I would say. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's answer the next question, which is from Bell. And how did you guys start with data science? With what project task did you do in the beginning? Bogdan, would you like to answer first your side of the story?
Yeah, sure. For me, it was there is no adventure. I learned about data science in university on my master's, and my first project was quite interesting. I did stock market exchange market prediction based on stock market. So I wanted to predict like will the currencies, how the price of currency, for example, US dollar to European euro will change depending on how the stock market changes. So that was my first project in data science.
So for me, I started actually my first experience with data science was actually end of high school. So there, I worked on a high school project on detecting cars. So the idea was like you put the camera in a webcam in a intersection, and the idea would be okay, see where the cars are coming from which intersection to which intersection they're going. And the second task was what kind of vehicle it is. Is it like a truck or is it like a normal car? And I did it together with some other colleagues this, and yeah, what we the project was like, okay, you put a lot of webcams around the city and ideally in every intersection, and then you could see in the Google Maps like the traffic, and like see like you could even predict see patterns, and you can predict if there was a stau. How do you say stau in English? If there was a traffic jam in the city, you could predict that ahead of time. And actually we did like a prototype for that for I lived in my city where I lived back then. So yeah, that was my experience with first with data science, and then afterwards, I guess university also after that. Yeah. Okay. We'll be, I guess, in 50 minutes, and then we'll go. So we'll stay here for 50 minutes until we leave. So if you have any other questions, we'll gladly answer them.
Yeah. Can go on a Kaggle, review some data sets, see what's maybe something new were posted.
So new Kaggle data sets. Yeah, let's do that until a new question might arise. So let me open Kaggle for us. Kaggle. Let's go to Kaggle. We see. Okay, let's see what data sets want competition. Data sets or competitions?
Well, let's look on competitions, So yeah, if you don't know this, so Kaggle is a website where people can post their datasets and competitions, and big companies post competitions with big money reward. So if you are really good at competitions, you can make money just by doing competitions. So you see already like 50,000, 50,000, 50, 25. So.
And actually, some people do this as a full-time job. They just try to win like 2, 3 competitions per year, and like that's enough for them. Okay, so what we have here is the first one is interesting. It's a jigsaw multilingual toxic comment classification. So the idea goal is to identify toxic comments across multiple languages. So this is um, very
It's
interesting.
like I worked with this task for exactly. I did the toxic comment, but not for all languages. I did for Russian and Ukrainian and Russian, and I can say this task is like really hard in terms of natural language processing.
So this data set is quite small. It's around 1 GB big. So I mean, it's not small per se, but for such problems, you would require more data set.
Especially for natural language processing, 1 GB is not much.
Is not much. So most likely they assume some pre-trained models. So what normally would do in such computations is you would take a model which was trained like on a big corpus. So corpus means like a big file of documents. So for example, Wikipedia is like one of not the most common, but at least well-known data sets. And most of these models are like trained on these data sets, and then they use this additional model then to this additional data then to predict, is so basically there's a process called fine-tuning, which you take a model and you adapt it for another problem, and that's what they normally do in such competitions. The other one is interesting, maybe related to what we did with assignment number 3, which is forecasting of unit sales of at Mallpark retail goods.
Yeah, it's very close.
It's a very similar data set, and yeah, you can see data science at the particular example what we did. Maybe it was more simplified. We agree with that, but definitely not so far from reality compared to like Walmart.
Mm-hmm. So
Another
yeah, if you learn, if you had good time doing assignment 3, try this one. Maybe you will get 50,000.
another one is from University of Liverpool. Okay, this one is in a different domain. So this is time series data. So the difference between the data sets what we normally use in our course is that we have that you have the time element. And the issue with this compared to like normal data is that the variables are not independent from each other. They're dependent. So they're not IID. In other words, that means that the points in the past, the points in the future are dependent from the past. And what we did is we didn't deal with this since most machine learning models don't cannot deal with this. So in this case, you would use my based on how I looked the data. It's most likely some like either they extract features or build like some simple classifier like random forest or something like that, or they build something more fancy like recurrent neural networks or convolution neural networks for this. Nice application then for so let's see if there's any new questions. Not for now. Okay, then we'll continue talking about Kaggle competition. So if you just joined and want to answer some questions, the link is ahaslides.com/grats, and put your questions if you have any questions regarding the assignment, the final project, or data science in general,
or life in general.
You want to hear our opinion on this, feel free to ask your questions on ahaslides.com/grats. Okay, so we'll continue, and then until then we'll still look on the Kaggle competitions. We'll be here, I think, for 5-10 minutes, and then we'll close the Q&A session.
We will skedaddle.
And the next one is let's see. So this one is neuroimaging. This is very interesting. So here, giving a brain multi-scanner normative age and assessment prediction with brain function, structure, and connectivity. So this is some like brain images, I guess. What do you have to do here? But yeah, data science, especially, I think nowadays, or deep learning, there's more and more research now in medicine, and I think there are a lot of opportunities opening up recently. So if you want, you wanted to be a doctor but you failed to do so, becoming a data scientist might be the closest thing to.
Yeah.
So let's see what you have to predict. So these are like some features extracted from MRI scans, brain MRI scans, and what do we evaluate? We have to predict the age of the person and some domain-specific features, which I guess they're hidden, so they're not explained what they are particular. Okay. Oh, okay. The next one is detect secret data hidden within digital images.
With some CIA stuff, probably.
Yeah, it sounds like that. So the file you download may contain hidden messages that aren't part of the regular content.
It's like you will discover that the world was ruled by Illuminati all along.
So yeah, this is literally that dataset. Find some like hidden key in the image so you can reconstruct this original message or whatever you want. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting because there is like there is an encryption. There is this like you can encrypt image inside another image. There was something, if I remember correct.
Yeah, I think here signal analysis is the art of secret communication.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the science of like hiding stuff in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have here some images. They look totally normal. It's like a bit weird. Like, why would you make a photo, for example, so zoomed in on a certain object? But okay.
Just random camera.
So you have to find some secret feature hidden in the. Interesting. The next one, I think this is more related for us men. Prostate cancer assessment. So diagnose prostate cancer with AI. That's also interesting. Maybe later in our life.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah. The next one is actually NCAA March Madness. I think this is actually sport analytics. So if you're doing the sport analytics dataset, this is very similar to this. Yet abstract and reasoning challenge. Okay, this one is actually, I would say, $20,000 is way too little for this project competition. I think it's almost disrespectful to only ask $20,000 for this competition, because what they're solving here is really, really a hard problem. So what basically the idea is the following: Can a AI learn solve abstract tasks just by few examples. So for example, in this particular idea, this particular task is like we give an image of like this here, and then we do this here. We did this one, this image, and then the what we should obtain. So basically, the task in this abstract task is filling the gaps inside with yellow, right? This and you can define a lot of these abstract tasks, and I think this is like really hard stuff. It's not easy even for AI researchers, and I think this is a bit disrespectful for only $20,000, which, because if you have an algorithm which can do abstract reasoning so well, you can solve so many problems which we are currently stuck because we do not have like such model which can do these domain agnostic abstract tasks. So this is my opinion on this competition. But yeah, there's a person who has like 90%, some very good scores here. Very interesting. But yeah, it's a hard problem, definitely. So yeah, there's a lot of competitions regarding that. I think we'll slowly then close off.
Skedaddle.
So I would like everyone. Thank you for everyone for asking questions. Yeah, we'll see us this Thursday. So if you have any other questions, again about data science, about assignments, about the final project, or data science in general, or life, we'll be here at every Tuesday and Thursday at 5. Also, we would recommend that you could go to our meetup, which is on the 5th, I think.
Yeah.
And let me just showcase it. Let me put ML Grass on Google. In our meetup on the 5th, I think, yes, on the 5th of May, we will have a colleague of mine or a friend of mine, Jules Salsiga, who will present us generative adversarial networks. So these generative adversarial networks, also called GANs, are models. Oh wait, I didn't put the image. Also called GANs, are neural networks which are used, for example, in creating deepfakes, in self-driving cars, in a lot of domains. So I think this is a very nice talk to give you a intuitive understanding of how these models work. So if you're interested in this, it's on the 5th of May. It's 4 until 5. So yeah, it's on Tuesday. So it's before that's why it's 4 and 5, and then afterwards we will have our how you call our Q&A session. And yeah, you can join, and I think it's very nice to watch. I think you'll definitely learn something. Okay. Yeah, if you haven't seen, one thing before we go, if you want to see how the certificate looks like, you can see it already here, how it might look like. So this is how the certificate it will look, and the certificates will be hosted online, so everybody can check the legitimacy of the certificate. And you can see here, like, there's a special ID here, a UID, which so make it so you can check then on the website if the person actually owned this certificate or not, based on the UID. So I hope I think that's it for today.
Check the last time questions, maybe last second question.
And if not, we'll talk us next Thursday. So no problem. We're always here to help you guys. Okay, that's it from our side, and I guess
good luck with your assignments and projects, and send them to us.
Okay, goodbye.
Ciao.